Next up, we have something quite interesting, I think. So if you were walking over here in the morning, you might have noticed that the road were closed behind the building, and there's students practicing, training for what is Carnegie Mellon's own sport called Buggy. And so we're very excited, given that this is the 125th anniversary of Carnegie Mellon University, to celebrate this very historical aspect of CMU. And so we're going to have Cat Ramage, a senior at CMU, pursuing a double major in statistics, data science, as well as business administration. She has worked as an analyst in industry roles and venture capital, private credit. She's also participated in research within our Carnegie Mellon Sports Analytics Center, partnering with our football team, force plate data. But she is also running the analytics group for one of CMU Buggy teams. So I'm going to turn it over to Kat to explain to you all what exactly Buggy is. All right, so here. All right, take it away, Kat.
Great. Hi, thank you all so much. That was a great introduction already. I heard some of you already had some parking troubles because of Buggy. I will take all complaints in writing and after the talk. But let's get right into it. So today I'm going to be talking about Buggy. It is one of the most iconic sports of Pittsburgh. So no, not the Steelers, no, not the Pirates, and no, not the Penguins. But actually a sport that is going to be 105 years old as of this upcoming race day. So there's a lot to celebrate there. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Buggy. So it started back in 1920 when some fraternities were trying to race each other down the hill of Shenley Park. Very smart, very safe, I know. This sport actually predates shopping carts. So if you're looking at that and you think you've seen one of those, a giant eagle, before, it's actually older than a shopping cart. But clearly, Buggy has still survived, and it's still very popular and well-beloved today. It has now become a very hyper-engineered race. There are 12 teams that still exist, 5 of which are independent teams, 5 fraternity and sorority teams, and 2 of which are robotic buggies, but we call them the robo-buggy teams. So those are also here. So this is a picture of what Buggy looks like today, and I have a beautiful real-life example over here. Her name is Invisid. She is one of my buggies. Up here, we also have Seraph. So there are a couple different people that help make Buggy happen every year. So you can see there is a very small person inside of the buggy that is driving it. Show of hands, how many of you are under 5'2"? All right, great. Talk to me after the talk, but that means that you are actually small enough to fit inside of a buggy and drive it. So if you're under 5'2", you're the most recruited athlete on campus. Sorry, Division III sports. But we also have a lot of other people that make this sport possible. So one of which is our pusher. You see right over here. So they grab the handlebars. They are pushing this buggy like a baton in a relay race. And we have a number of other different sectors. Data, of course. We wouldn't be here without data today. We have our mechanics. They're kind of like our pit crew, if you all are familiar with Formula One, NASCAR, people that design the buggies, make it look good, because that's important, of course. Builders, flaggers, so much more. So everyone really makes Buggy possible. But it's kind of difficult to take a look at what Buggy looks like without getting a visual. So we're going to take a look at a video here from a finalist race with the winning team, which was Spirit A, of course, my team. So Spirit is going to be, oh, that is laggy. All right, don't worry. So we're going to be taking a look at the very start. So Spirit A is racing CIA B. A teams tend on being the fastest teams. Then you have B, C, D, and so on. So they're running what is known as a Hill 1 before pushing it off to a Hill 2 pusher. So the Hill 2 pusher picks it up like that baton and keeps running with it. This is a very technical hill, as you're going to see in a second. They are the last boost of momentum the buggy gets before they go all on their own. So that driver is going to be hands on the wheel, just going all by themselves for the majority of the race. So we have to close down the roads, as you all briefly experienced this morning, because they are, of course, going to be safe from cars when we close down the roads. And they're actually breaking the speed limit of 35 miles an hour. So we don't want to get parking tickets, of course. So we got to make sure those roads are closed. They're going all by themselves. So they come around closer to Phipps Botanical Gardens. For those of you that are familiar with Pittsburgh, you're going to start to see our flaggers. So our flaggers, again, kind of similar to NASCAR F1, they're indicating when and where the buggy needs to turn, give them that great visual aid. So they're able to turn, go right through, Beautifully executed chute turn. The chute is one of the most perilous parts of Buggy. If you turn a little bit too tight, bails. Go a little too wide, running into the bails again. And if you do everything just right, but you're slow, you are going to make this pusher's job a lot harder because you need to be able to pick up the Buggy, keep all that momentum and speed, and keep going until you can get to hill 4. So we just saw another example of what's called a transition. So a transition exists when a pusher passes to another pusher in a very set distance zone on the course. If you transition too early, too late, disqualification. So you want to make sure you get those transitions really tight between pushers. So you're going to see the very last leg of hill 5. So hill 5 is the longest and flattest portion of the race. Yeah, it just keeps getting worse over time, keeps getting harder. So this is a dead sprint of pushing the Buggy all the way to the very, very end. You can see everyone's already celebrating, bringing that Buggy in. And you got to keep your hands on the push bar when you run it through, or it is a disqualification because you need to make sure they're safe. You can't just let them pummel through at the very, very end. No battering rams in Buggy. We have since changed those rules. But why is all this important? Let's get to some of the data. And yes, my data is blacked out because it is top secret. I don't know how many of you in here are spies from another team. So got to keep some of the trade secrets all to myself. But to talk about data and how we operate this, off to our left, you're going to see our pusher leaderboard. This is what generates healthy competition, team member to team member. It's always fun to be able to go and try and compete with your friends, be faster than them by even just a half a second to a second. And you're always competing with yourself. You're trying to beat your own times because the goal is always to get that coveted A-team slot to say that you are the fastest team and to really try and make it on race day. Off to our right, we have more of an internal board. This is more for our executive system where you are trying to make that team selection. So what this does is it takes a minimum time of a pusher and it chunks it all together so you can get a pretty good time estimate of what a team is going to look like on race day. So you can make some of those time estimates really help you make sure that you're deviating A to D teams. This is very difficult when you have a lot of wonderful pushers who are trying a lot of very different hills. So how do we take a look at so many different hills with so many different techniques and body forms and different types of pushers? So we see where they're succeeding. So this difference of time metric here, we're going to take a look at Colby. He's down on the bottom. He tried a lot of very different hills, was a really successful pusher. He was on the leaderboard a lot. But where is he actually succeeding? What hill best suits him and his body type? So we took an average of the team overall, so for our men's and our women's team. So we're trying to find a team average of what the hill 3 average time is. So then based on that, let's see where an individual pusher is most below average. And below average is good because it means that you're faster. So we want those high negative percentages. That means that you're the fastest. So here, he tried a lot. He was good at a lot. But we saw that hill 3, hill 4, those were some of his absolute strongest, his best runs. So we saw that hill 3 was definitely the place to put him. And that is where he ran on race day and was very successful at it. But of course, we also really care about the drivers in addition to the pushers. So how do we help them throughout the course of a year? We do something that looks a lot like this. So this is kind of a front camera view. This is their point of view. So now you all can imagine that you're a driver yourself. Close your eyes and really visualize it. So this is the view of the chute turn that, as I said, was one of the most difficult parts of the chute turn. When you look at the speed, the accelerometer down there, you can see that as they come up through that chute, they're losing speed, right? You're always going to lose a bit of speed coming around that hard turn, but you can practice your lines throughout the course of the year to make sure the more narrow you are, you might be a little bit faster. If you swing out and avoid this object in the road that's going to be there, you might be a little bit faster. And all those seconds worth of time can make a huge amount of difference come race day. So, of course, why is this important at the end of the day? Why does this matter? Safety is one of the biggest parts of Buggy because we used to just throw people down a hill in rain barrels. Like, we want to make sure that people are safe. When those buggies are very close to each other on the free roll, those seconds worth of time can mean all the difference in them not crashing end to end with each other. So you really want to make sure that your team selection is very tight, that you're not going to get rank disqualified. So rank disqualification is when your B team that is actually faster than your A team. That's not supposed to happen if you're doing your data right. So you really want to make sure that everyone is selective, is where they're supposed to be. And optimizing those teams is important for race day. How race day occurs in the spring is the very first day is a preliminary session. So you're trying to get as many of your A through D teams beyond the time threshold that's necessary. So say you need to be faster than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If you can get your A through C team above, like below that threshold, that means all of those teams are going to finals. So you all have a chance to get on that coveted leaderboard, get some trophies during finals day. And of course, the better you are, the more sponsorships you get, the better hardware you get, cooler looking buggy you get. So all of that is very important in making that data happen. Thank you all so much. I had a lot of fun talking about Buggy today. I would love to answer any questions, and please feel free to come up, take a look at the Buggy. We did remove the steering wheel again because secret data. I don't know how many of you are spies, but thank you all again.
All right. All right. For the sake of time, we're going to go to one question that is from Dr. Sam Ventura in the other room. Sam, what is your question?
First, thanks for that awesome presentation. I am a longtime Buggy fan, and I have a very specific question for you. It's about hills 4 and 5. It seems to me that there's a trade-off between pushing really hard and sprinting versus a more constant application of pressure on the Buggy up hills 4 and 5. And have you ever looked into that to see, you know, like the optimal rate of pushes versus power?
I think that's a really great question. A lot of that depends on the physique of the actual pusher that is doing the training. So hill 4 is definitely more steep, it's more uphill. So you're really going to have to focus on leg day there and make sure that you have the muscles that are necessary to really muscle that Buggy up the hill. Versus hill 5 is very, very flat. So you're able to get a more lean pusher that is able to really just sprint. But of course, you still need to push that Buggy. You're carrying someone's weight throughout a very long course of time. So really taking a look at the pushers' physiques, their form is really, really important. And especially the transition is one of the most important parts of hill 4 and hill 5. Without a good transition, there's a loss of power there in terms of that additional shove that you can get that is just sparing some seconds.
All right, let's thank that. Great job. All right. They indeed train for this all year for one weekend in April. It is absolutely amazing to watch.